Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple. I'm Ryan, and I'm here today with a review of Shards of Infinity from Ultra Pro and Stoneblade Entertainment. You might recognize the name Stoneblade Entertainment as these are the guys that did Ascension and all the Ascension expansions. Shards of Infinity was designed by Gary Arant and Justin Gary, which are the same guys that did the Ascension game. Shards of Infinity is their follow-up, which takes a lot of ideas from Ascension and propels them into the modern era of deck building games. This is a deck building game for 2 to 4 players with a sci-fi theme that personally I really love. That was one of the things that drew me to Shards of Infinity in the first place. Each of the 4 factions in Shards is keyed into a different ability or strategy or keyword that you can use to play the game. This is important for when you build your deck, knowing which cards you want to grab. If you've played deck builders before like Ascension or Star Realms, some of these terms are going to be very familiar to you and you're going to understand what I'm saying here. But we've got the 4 different factions. Homodius, which keys in on increasing your mastery and supporting your other cards. You've got your Wreath, which keys in on doing damage and culling cards out of your hand, which is crazy powerful for anybody that knows deck builders. You can get rid of cards out of your discard pile, out of your hand, and you'll never have to draw them again. Undergrowth focuses on gaining life, and Order focuses on drawing cards. So you can use any combination of these cards as you're building your deck. If you've never played a deck builder before, what you're doing is buying cards from this top row. They go into your discard pile. When your deck is empty, you shuffle, and then you're going to start drawing in these more powerful cards. It's important when you buy cards to think about what you want your deck to look like overall. If you just key in on exactly one faction and just buy every faction card, then you're going to trigger a lot of what they call unity abilities, which trigger only if you've played or can reveal a card of that same faction. But many of these factions actually work synergistically with each other. So if you want to really maximize your deck, you're going to want a little life gain, a little card draw, a little damage, and you kind of want to build it in a cohesive way for whatever your strategy happens to be. You'll notice 2 dials on each of these player boards. The top dial is for health, which starts at 50 and will tick down as you take damage. If it ever gets down to 0, you are eliminated from the game, so there is player elimination in this game. However, if somebody's eliminating you, it's probably pretty close to the end of the game anyway, and games aren't that long, so I don't really see that as a negative here. The bottom dial is Mastery, which was a new concept introduced in Shards of Infinity. Your Mastery starts at 0, 1, or 2, or 3, depending on where you start in player rotation, and will slowly tick its way up to 30. If you manage to get your Mastery up to 30, you can trigger the ultimate ability of your Infinity Shard, from which the game derives its name. That ability deals infinite damage to everyone at the table. There's nothing they could do to prevent it. It is an instant win condition for you. This means there are actually multiple paths to victory in this deck builder. You don't need to focus on grabbing cards that deal damage or gaining life. You can grab cards that increase your mastery and try to win that way as well. Whenever you buy a card from the main row, you take it, put it in your discard pile. If it is a champion, then when you play this card, it actually sits out in front of you like a base in Star Realms, and opponents are going to have to deal damage to it in order to destroy it. Every time you buy a card, a new one immediately flips over and offers you another chance to buy. Shards of Infinity also introduces a new concept to deck builders called Mercenaries. Some of these cards are marked with a red border with the term Mercenary printed right on the card. These Mercenary cards can be recruited from the row and used instantly. For example, if you really need to do 3 extra damage, you can pay 5 resources, take this card, immediately play it, and then put it in the discard pile. This card will never enter your deck, so you're basically spending whatever the resource cost is on a one-time use card, but it does give you options in a clutch moment. For example, if you need to play another Wreath card to trigger a great ability, then you can play one from the row if you don't have one in your hand. There is a lot of flexibility there and a lot of decisions you have to make when buying your cards. Now that I've explained the game and how it's played, I'd like to give my final thoughts. First of all, I love deck building games. It's one of my favorite mechanics. I will play deck building games all day. I've loved the formula that was created with Ascension. It was improved upon in Star Realms, and I believe it has been improved upon even further with Shards of Infinity. There are a lot of different reasons why. I think the factions in this game are really cool. I think the synergies between the different cards really work well. in other games like Ascension, you're kind of benefiting by focusing on one faction. I think in Shards, you actually benefit from spreading it out and grabbing cards from all different factions. I also think the Mastery is a really cool mechanic. It's something I've never seen in a deck builder before, that your cards actually get more powerful as the game progresses. You could choose to completely ignore that Mastery track and just deal brute force damage. But if you do increase your Mastery, then you're going to unlock some options later in the game that other players won't have. I love the theme of the game. I love that sci-fi aesthetic. I love the different factions of this game. Really, my only complaint is that you have these cool, unique factions with cool, unique player boards, but no variable player powers. When you buy the base set out of the box, you're getting these cool player boards that have cool artwork, but that's really all they are, is life trackers at this point. Now, I've had the privilege of playing one of the expansions that's coming out, and I will say that expansion does alleviate that by actually giving you some special cards that will go in your deck based on which faction you're playing. So there is something coming that's going to alleviate my issue, but if you play this out of the box and you expect to have a really unique variable player power, you're going to have to wait till that expansion comes out. Besides that, I really like what this game is doing. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's just Ascension or it's just Star Realms. I will tell you that you need to try it, play it a couple times. You will see the differences kind of come out of it, both in like the Mastery system and in the fact that you can hire those mercenaries. And plus, it's just a different feel. The game moves at a different pace than both Ascensions and Star Realms have. If you love those other games, I definitely say check it out. If you're new to deck builders, it's very easy to learn. It doesn't hit you over the head with a lot of really complicated mechanics, and really you can teach this to anybody. And that is Shards of Infinity. It is available now in retail. You can find it at most local game stores. And thank you for watching. Please like us on Facebook, subscribe here on YouTube, follow us on Twitter. Make sure that you don't miss any of our upcoming content. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.